this is a Gen Y rally. But I'm not Gen Y, as you can tell by my hair color. I'm Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen A, B, C, D. But I think Gen Y is about being young at heart, right? It's not how old you are, it's what's in your heart. So it's been a great couple days here in Indonesia, and we also want to congratulate all of you on the success that you've had here in Indonesia. And I want to also introduce the Southeast Asia President, Mr. Lohan Ki. You know, not only has Amway Indonesia grown the last couple years, but when you look at the entire market of Southeast Asia, every market has grown over the last 2 years. It's a fantastic achievement. Yesterday we talked to the leaders, and the question came up is, how big can Amway Indonesia be? Well, 20 years ago, Doug's brother Dan was in Indonesia. And at that time, he said, Amway Indonesia can be one of the top 5 markets in the world of Amway. And we want you to know that we believe still, after 20 years, that Amway Indonesia will become one of the top 5 markets in the world of Amway. Now, the question is how? Well, the answer is very simple. It's right in this room with all of you. It starts with each and every one of you setting a goal. You're going to hear Bobby and Nooch talk today to you. We have some of the biggest businesses in the world still setting goals. So we want to challenge you, whether you're brand new in this business today or you've been in this business 20 years. Set a goal. Get to silver producer. Get to platinum. Get to emerald. Get to diamond. Get to EDC. And get to crown ambassador. We want you to know this business is built on belief and confidence. And from all of us at Amway, we have nothing but 100% belief and confidence in all of you. So on behalf of all of us, we want to thank you for what you're doing for the business here in Indonesia. And I can't wait for the next 5 years to be able to say Amway Indonesia is one of the top 5 markets in the world.
This is by far the most quickest introduction of an Amway meeting in our life. We got here, we sat down for like 10 minutes, then we're already here. And that is also the most Gen Y speech I ever heard from Jim. Very quick and brief. So let me give my wife.
I'm excited to be with all of you here today. Actually, 8 years ago, we were just a bunch of kids that are fighting for our dream and getting the inspiration from all of you. And now today, it's time to give the inspiration back to all of you. I'm just an ordinary woman. I'm not a good grade student, but what I have is a strong goal, successful in life. So after I graduated, my first work is in Singapore. I work very hard, and my boss very intelligent. And one day I see that his kid got sick and he has no time to take care. And that day is the day I think it's not me at all. I can work 40 hours a week, 40 weeks a year, but not for me, for work 40 years for the rest of my life. And actually, you know, if you have money, you can buy expensive watch, but you cannot buy time. You can buy a big house, but you cannot buy a family. You can buy medicine, but you cannot buy good health. But this is if not you. So Amway is a great opportunity to all of you here. And after that, then I quit in Singapore, and then I changed the job to air flight attendant for Japan Airlines. I got a good pay, but I got a back pain. And that day I think, oh, they give a lot of money because they want us to take care of our health. Then I see one thing, when you are young, you have time, you have good health, but you don't have money. So when you work, you have money, you have good health, but you don't have time. And when you are old, you have time, you have money, but you don't have good health. If you want to have time, money, and health at the same time, Amway business is a great opportunity for you all. From 8 years of business, I have no debt. Am happy every day. I'm smile when I sleep. And every day is just the same day. No 9 a.m. to 5, no 9 to 5. Every day is the same. Every day is just like a Christmas. If you think this is for you, so pay attention on what Bobby gonna say. If you can do it, so all of you can make your precious dream come true too through this business. All the best.
So, is my wife beautiful? Oh my gosh, you know what? I met my wife in Amway business too. So to me, when we were shown the marketing plan, right, the shoulder plan, they never tell you you're gonna get a wife. So one of those people who finally got a wife from Amway, but don't come here to look for one, okay? Let it happen naturally. And the best thing that ever happened to our life, the first thing is Amway, and the second thing is my wife. So please give a big hand to her. And now, this event is not about us. We have this event. We fly all over the world for you. Can you please turn on the spotlight and let me see who are the Gen Y people? How many of you are new, like super new, first time in Amway business? First time. Okay. Thank you. How many of you out here already fall in love with Amway? So, raise your hand. Most of my speech today is going to be about the 25% of the new people. And for those people who already fall in love with Amway, welcome to the club. So when you look at Nushi and I, we are just like she said, we are just a bunch of kids. Do you know what kids look like? Look like us 10 years ago. But we still managed to have our childhood dream alive. You know, today is not about Indonesia or Thailand. Gen Y people, we are the same everywhere. You know, when I talk to my parents, they're talking about their teenage life. And teenage life of my parents and teenage life of your parents in Indonesia is different. There's no globalization 40 years ago. But nowadays, our generation, we listen to the same music. We watch the same movies. We got influenced by the same people. And we want the same thing in life. Is that true? You know what I mean? All the people in the back, raise your hand again. How many of you are Gen Y? Okay. So, let me talk about you guys. But before let me get, I need to know you. How many of you are under the age of 30? All right. How many of you in this room are over 30 years old? All right. Let me tell you this. Many of you here, I know, sometimes you sit like this. I saw some people in the back sit like this. Maybe you came to this function because of your friend talk a lot about Amway. Today, let's forget about why they took you here. Let's talk about why you are here. Everybody have their first day in Amway. You look at me. Do I look like an Amway guy? If you walk on the street and meet me in a Grand Indonesia mall and you think I'm doing Amway, do I look like a typical Amway IBO? If not, what do you think is my job before Amway? I was in the bank. But let me tell you this. Nobody in the whole world ever planned of doing Amway before. Amway was never in anyone's plan. When you were young, your parents asked you, hey kid, what you want to be when you grow up? People always say, I want to be a medical doctor. I want to be a cop, a nurse, businessman. Nobody say, I want to become Crown Ambassador. Agree? So you are right. Amway wasn't in my plan too. Amway also not in your plan. Today you will learn why Amway become a plan B. And when you understand enough, you will understand maybe Amway is not only plan B, but Amway can be your plan A. Even better than that, you might find out that Amway might be the only plan. You can start Amway as a plan B, plan A, or the only plan, up to you. But before we get to that point, let me tell you, if you only think that Amway people are the people who buy something from Amway company, and then what they do is trying to make retail profit by selling product to other people. That is what people think of Amway in the first place. Is that Amway? Direct selling? Knock knock? Are you free? I want to show you some products. Amway was like that in the old days. You know why? Because it's in the old days. Amway was invented during the same time when TV was invented, for Christ's sake. Do you know that television is invented in the same decade with Amway? So Amway is a long-term business. Of course, that is what people think of Amway is. But if it's only making retail profit, do you think is that why we are doing Amway business? Because to me, if I join Amway business just because I want to sell Nutrilite products to make profits, of course, if I like Nutrilite, I can just use Nutrilite. I don't have to sell Nutrilite. Same thing, if you like durian, you don't have to sell durian. How many of you like durian so much, then you start selling durian? If you like durian, just eat it. Same thing, I like Amway product. I can just use it. I don't have to do the business. So the first point I want to make to you guys, we are not in this business just to make retail profits. Retail profit is part of the business. If we want to sell something and make profit, I should be selling house or car. Do you agree? You sell house and cars, you probably make more profit than selling Nutrilite. And when people look at a product, oh, I want to sell something more cool. Yeah, Nutrilite is good, artistry is good, but it's not cool. I want to sell iPad. Last time I talked to the other guys in the US, I asked him, okay, what kind of product you want to sell that's cool? He said nuclear weapons. Becoming selling nuclear weapons looks cool. I said, okay, looks cool. Who is your first customer? Being cool is not about doing cool things. It's about doing the right thing that produce cool results. So try to look at Amway from a very humble way. You know, when I talk to the people, I ask them, okay, what do you think of Amway? You may think that people are negative about Amway, but the fact is the facts. People are not negative. And the fact also, people also not positive. People are just neutral. They just want to learn more. So for a country like Indonesia, you have a lot of potential to be anything you want. But good thing about this country, first, you have a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. I asked my Indonesian friend, and she told me that most of the dream job of the people is to own businesses. But they don't do it because they don't have the money to build a business. And for people older than 25 years old, how many times you have been asking yourself that question, when am I going to have enough money? When am I going to have enough money? And we always get the same answer, I don't know. So it's about time to think about contingency plan. When I take a look at Amway business, I take a look from a financial perspective. You will never understand how miracle for a company like this size of Amway runs everything on cash. It's a tough thing to do out there. Many people ask me, is Amway a listed company? Because they tend to think of a company supposed to be big unless they go public. You know, when you build businesses, first, you don't have the money. Then you cannot build business. And for young people like us, if we have the money and we have some opportunity, we build a business. Out of 100, only 7 could succeed. And after you succeed, you want to grow bigger. Where is the money? You need more money to make more money. That's where banks comes in. When you start having your first job, the first banking system going to your life is the credit card system. And the reason why people have so many debts in credit cards is because they cannot have enough money to survive on a daily basis. So they borrow the money in the future to use. That's why they have debts. And when you think of the world out there like that, there's a lot of traps. If you don't know what you're doing, you will fall into those traps. I like one quotation so much, and it's very good for young people. Those who don't have goals in their life, we have to spend the rest of their life working to fulfill other people's goals. Do you like that? That hurts. Repeat that together again in your mind. Those who doesn't have clear goals in their life will have to spend the rest of their life working to fulfill other people's goals. So it's very important for you to have your own goals. And once you have goals, then you know what Amway is all about. Then we come back to the banking system. Then your business grow big. You know, when the business grow big, you think you own it. You know, at the end of the day, your big partner is the bank. The more your business grow, the more bank get involved with you. And when you take that company public, who owns your company? Somebody else. So many young people, when they think about success model nowadays, why we have to do Amway? Let's build a company. Where do we get the money? Go to the venture capitalist. We get the money. Build business, build values, and go public. Then sell shares. Then become billionaires. I think this idea is not only in Thailand. I think it belongs to all the Gen Y people who are looking for fast track to success in their life out there. We have seen our friends like Mark Zuckerberg. In fact, he's like your age. Of course, that's phenomenal. Not only Mark Zuckerberg. Some people look at the Skype guys and many other online businesses that become successful. And you know how many companies actually becoming successful from those type of businesses? Of course, very few. I'm not telling you to limit your dreams, but you need money to fight the big game. Many of you can choose Amway as a tool or vehicle to fulfill your dreams, and then you can go on to the next dream if you have. The reason I told you this is because I started Amway with that thinking. I chose Amway as a vehicle to build a business that gives me cash flow. So that one day when I build business from Amway, then I can get the money and the income from Amway to build other businesses. But after 3 years in the Amway business, I stood something else. Then I decided all my life, all my imagination, all my determination, all my energy will most impact more people if I stay in Amway. So one thing I can assure you guys, Amway give you not only opportunity, but it's a direct opportunity that you can impact more people than just people in Jakarta or Indonesia. I'd like to share with you some slides. Today I have 3 slides for you. Okay, so let me talk about my dad before I go about the slide. My whole life, and I wish he was here with me. He's still alive, but he's still in Bangkok, but he is the one who changed my life. My dad always tell me, think of this, my dad is 40 years old, older than me. By the time I turned 20, my dad turned 60. So the best thing that a dad can do is try to tell the kid not to regret anything he used to regret. When I was in grade 9, my life started in 1996 when I was in grade 9. Before that, the whole thing in my brain is about soccer, girls, soccer, girls, soccer, girls. I do have a lot of girlfriends, actually. She's not the first, of course, but she's my last. Just kidding. Anyway, I think you understand, right? What they talk during, when you were with your friends. You remember when you were with guys, what do you talk about? Don't have your conscience. It's going to be so fun and you're going to be stuck in that circle for the rest of your life. We talk about sports. Right? Right? And it's fun. We talk about girls. And then we talk about drink. And all of these are easy and fun thing and everybody love it. So Gen Y, we're not talking about kids. Okay, Gen Y, we're talking about young adults. Then one day my dad asked me, Bobby, what is your absolute purpose of life? That's a big question for a kid, right? He said he gave me 1 week to answer. I still remember those days. Then I told him, after changing many answers, I told him it's happiness. Living a happy state of life. And Dad said, awesome. Because to him, that is also the answer. Don't worry about your GPA. My dad is a nerd. His GPA is 4.0. If there are 5.0, I think he's going to get that too. You know what my GPA is? 0.94. That's why my dad say, don't worry about GPA. So nobody cares about my GPA. But anyway, then we talk about studying. Then finally I graduated with 3.1 GPA. Not super good, just okay. He told me study is very important. If you can be first honor student, good, up to you. You can just follow the standard for education. But for personal responsibility and commitment to your family and life, you have to go higher than standards. Amway changed a lot of things about me. Once you get to learn more from your upline, your sponsor about Amway business, come inside the circle. You may feel, oh, Amway is not my cup of tea. And ask yourself, what is your cup of tea? Becoming like David Beckham? Becoming like Justin Bieber? That's also not my cup of tea. What about working from 9 to 5? Is that your cup of tea? Getting back to what my wife said, 40 cube formula. 40 to the power of 3. 40, 40, 40. Working 40 hours a week. Working 40 weeks in a year. And do that for the next 40 years of your life. Is that your cup of tea? I tell myself, definitely not my cup of tea. Amway also not my cup of tea in the beginning. But the result of hard work in Amway business is definitely everybody's cup of tea. Those people who already understand, please tell them. Then, one of the story I want to share with you. This story I read from a Bhutan king. You know Bhutan, a country named Bhutan. His name is Jigme. In fact, everybody in Bhutan named Jigme. But there was an article that one day he went to the United Nations General Assembly. And he was sitting next to the Secretary General of the UN. And then the Secretary General of the UN asked him, hey, Your Majesty Jigme. Then he said, we do not have the GDP or the GNP. In Bhutan, we measure our growth and well-being of our citizens by our gross happiness index, or GHI. Seriously, he said that. Have you ever heard about this story? So what this country do to its citizen? He spent a lot of time making sure healthcare system is easily accessible to everyone. The country making sure that education system is also accessible to anyone. The country spends so much money on creative competition. And the country rewards those who make people happy. Should we all move to live in Bhutan? How many of you want to live in Bhutan? Oh, that sounds like my place. So I'm telling you, in the old days, there was the people come up with the name utopia. Utopia is a town or city or economy system where everything is so perfect, where we do not need anything outside to
Dimana?
survive. Do you know that maybe a lot of people are searching for all their life to live in a country like Bhutan or working in a company like Bhutan or living in a city and economy like Utopia? And you know what I found out about Amway business? If those people out there understand what Amway is all about, maybe everything that you've been searching for in your life is already here in Amway. I believe all of us here, the young kids, let me see your hands again. All the kids, all both new people and old people, up to you. All the kids, think about this. You raise your hand, okay, so you can have concentration. I'm talking to you. Think about the next 2 to 4 years of your hard work. What you're going to do with 2 to 4 years? What if you put 2 to 4 years in your current job? What is the best thing you're going to get? But what if I tell you that 2 to 4 years from now, that's 2013 from now to 2017, is going to be the end of your working life? And the thing come back to who really believe in that. You know, sometimes when I sit in a crowd like this and listen to some speech like this, I still remember my upline speech. 我相信你，你可以办得到。You know what? I don't speak Chinese. Every time I watch him talk, I ask my downline who speak Chinese, what Mr. Fu talk about this sentence? 我相信你，你可以办得到。And you know what it is? He said, I believe in you. You can do it. And also funny thing is, so Mr. Fu is here. Maybe many of you already know Mr. Fu, but many new people, you still don't know who he is. I think in this room is very funny. Almost everybody is here. When I was in Thailand, I joined Amway when Amway Thailand was 16 years old. And I started Amway business so humble. Go out to learn how to demonstrate products. All kind of things. Listen to so many steps and cities. And everybody, after you become silver producer, you will get to hear the name Fu Hokkien. And everybody, Fu Hokkien, they don't know who he is. Sometimes like a fairy tale. Yeah. People in my generation never see you. Downline ask me, Bobby, can I talk something negative? I say, hey, what negative? Is this Fu Hokkien thing exist? I said, of course they exist. I saw the picture before. Really? But how come we never see them? But later on, when YouTube come along, then we get to see more people they are real. And now that so many focus from around the world are focusing in Indonesia. You are like the favorite child of Amway. Whenever the ADA people wants to make one country big, it's always big. So, do you believe in yourself? Do the first thing. You might sign up easily, but do the first thing even before you sign up. Call your upline today and ask him to tell you again what is Amway. Ask your upline again what is the marketing and compensation plan. Make sure you understand this is not pyramid. Company this size like Amway will never do anything pyramiding. And all the pyramiding is everywhere outside this room. All organization is pyramiding. And many countries like Indonesia or Thailand, sometimes we still have to answer this question. Let me give you the slide. And I want all the young people and all the people who want to make decision to make this 4-year count. I want to show you this. Let's have a deadline. It might be weird to talk about this, but have you ever planned when you're gonna die? I think the smartest thing in the whole world is to put an expiry date on yourself. Have you ever heard that people work best under pressure and under deadline? You heard about that? But our life, we don't have deadline. But let's put the average for the worldwide average. We put 75. Of course, we want to live longer. But to be fair to yourself, put 75 as your deadline. There's a formula. Deadline minus current age is your TOE, time on earth. Let's do that next. For me, I started doing this equation in my life when I was 15. And this is what my dad taught me. I think my mom got so shocked when she heard my dad ask, Bobby, when you gonna die? But anyway, I told him, okay, maybe 75. So 75 minus 15, that's 60. Then you have your time left on earth. But in the picture, I showed you my example. Next. Time on earth minus free life equal P life. What is free life? Put your time on earth. In this case, 60. Minus with the time that you want to spend freely in your life. To me, I think my free life, I want this to be the most. So I think I want it 50. I want to live life 50 years freely. And the result of minus that out of TOE is the pre-life. The pre-life is the life that you have to work hard before you get to have a free life. Next. So I put 60, right? Minus by 50. 60 is my time on earth minus by 50 years that I want to live. So the result is the time that I have to finish everything. I know I have only 10 years to succeed. So I want to pass on this knowledge that my dad gave me to all of you here, that when you think of your life, maybe young people think, okay, I'm young, I'm ready to go, I can be anything I want to be. But you forget. If you put everything into perspective like this, you will see that you only have 10 years. Even you're not joining Amway this time, but at least you come today, you go back to think about this. Then you will understand why there's Amway out there for us. What is your pre-life? Maybe I ask the translator, what is your pre-life? Because you are the only one who talked to me with a microphone. I don't know. But let's do that for your life. And I know that when I have my own children, I will give this to my children, whether they understand it or not. Because my dad gave me this when I was 15 and I understood. Then by 19, I met Amway. By the age of 21, I started Amway business. After 3 years, we became founders Emerald. Then that year, we got married with my wife. And by the age of 25 to 26, we became Diamond. And Diamond is a thin line, it's like a milestone that we finish it. So 10 years exactly by the age of 25 to 26. I wasn't quick in Amway business, but you have to be quick about your life. Then everything that follows, it will be good for you. I want to show you what most young people's life is. You have to pay attention, okay? Watch this together. Life in 30 seconds. It's funny, but it's sad. And many people, they live life like that. And have you ever wondered, going out there, outside, and talk to the people at 65 years old and ask those uncles, what did you do that you want to go back in time and change? Have you ever watched a movie by Brad Pitt? It's called Benjamin Button, The Curiosity of Benjamin Button. This movie is funny. It just shows us the life that you grow from old and you die young. And most of the time, the older people, when they sit on the rocking chair and talk to each other, you know what they talk about? They talk about how they regret their life. Yeah. I'm so lucky to be there in the movie and sit right there and listen to them too. So I make one decision to myself, I will not regret everything I do. So, pay attention to Amway. If it's for you, then go ahead and do it and finish it. If it's not, give it to someone else. Let's take a look at the one last slide. This one is called Life Settlement. I read it from a book by a psychiatrist. It's a very good one. This thing will answer something for you guys, that how come some people that looks like they're going to be successful, but at the end of their life, they're not making it. Have you ever seen some people that looks they're supposed to be successful, but finally how come they didn't make it? We are not talking about lazy people. Of course, lazy people not even in the list. But let me show you this one. When you were young, up to the age of 22, they call this stage of life living and learning. Then, after you graduate, bachelor, then next stage, it's called seeking stage. You're finding yourself. Normally, people change 4 jobs during this period. Then after 30 to 40, it's called trials and errors. People try something, they make mistakes. They have only 10 years to fix it. After that, 40 to 50, it's called settling down. Whether you make it or you don't make it, you settle down. If you make it successful, then this age, people may just becoming successful. But if you fail, some people give up this time. Next stage. It's called maintaining. 50 years old to 60 years old. No matter what you make, you don't build more. You just maintain it. And after 60 years old, it's called living and learning again. You like this? But there's a thing in here that gives you the answer. Why many people succeed in life so late? The problem started at the seeking. Next slide. This age, 22 to 30, people seek, but seek too long. Up until 50 years old, they still don't know what they're going to do. so there's no time to waste by trial and errors. Amway business is a complete business where you have coach, you have system, you have team, you have all the company support to help you succeed along the way. And Amway business is a business where you put everything combined together and you put your hard work for 2 to 4 years. And after you finish, at least for example, diamond, then you can think whether you're going to go bigger than that, up to you. Now another question to go back and ask your upline is, upline, now tell me what is diamond and how to become diamond. This is the last thing you will ever do in your life. Make sure you understand it. Let me finish the slide. That's it. Before I finish, I have only 4 minutes left. I like to share with you what I see in Amway business for young people like us and for all kind of ages too. So in our group, we're going to show you the video at the end. We are a group of young kids. First year, I managed to be only the platinum in my group. I am the only platinum. No downlines become platinum. But now in our group in Thailand, in Vietnam, in US, and elsewhere, we have around 100 more platinums. Of course, this is only beginning. We are small, tiny bits of Amway business. And when you start Amway business, you start small. But you will be amazed how big it's gonna be. All of these people have like more than hundreds of diamonds in their group. And that's amazing to me. We will follow you. But before we watch the video, there's one thing, it's like a promise or guidelines that we work together in our group. We set up goals into 4 different decades. The first decade, which is from 20 years old to 30 years old, we call building stage. So we build for 10 years to have strong, solid success. And for those who love Amway so much and love the people in the Amway business so much, you can build another decade. And from the age of 30 to 40, we call this building and expanding. You will get to enjoy building Amway business globally. You can choose to be anywhere. Then from 40 to 50, we call this stage seeing miracles. You will see the efforts that you put in the Amway business in the first 20 years start blooming out. You start seeing diamonds around the world. You have start seeing your organization around the world. And then the 4th decade, from 50 to 60, that's we call transition and inspiration. You start giving the business to your next generation. And all you do for the rest of your life is to inspire younger people and the new people in the business to follow the success just like this gentleman do. When I look at my life in the next 40 years in Amway, if I get to live more than 75, maybe 85, I will have to think what to do with that 10 years. But today, at least we get to meet. I just want to encourage you that if Nuchi and I can do it, we are 100 million% exactly like you. Nothing different, nothing extra. We do the same thing and we see the same challenge just like you every day. And when we talk about 40 years in Amway business, don't forget it's just only 2 to 4 years of your first 2 to 4 years. See the whole picture of Amway and you're gonna fall in love. Without them, without us today. Many of them are diamonds, emeralds. We wanted to be one of the youngest diamond, but we missed. Then we've seen our own downline become diamond at the age of 21. And we've seen our downline become diamond at the age of 27. This year, I have another one of downline become executive diamond, moving up from emerald to EDC this year at the age of 28. And many of them graduate becoming emerald even before graduation. So I want you to give yourself a chance. You can make a revolution here in Indonesia. Nice meeting you all here. Until Kun, we will come back here when we become Crown Ambassador. We'll see you one more time. And hopefully, we will see you in all the Founders Council. Go for it. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Bobby, thanks for getting us all wound up. And Nooch, what the two of you are doing is incredible. And we're grateful for leaders in this business who take these thoughts and ideas and make them real. And all the leaders in the front here are people who have done that. And the reason all of us have a chance to be here together is because some people started this and they have kept it going and have built this business into something that is truly amazing. So when I see a video like that and I see some of the numbers that are there, I'm overwhelmed. And I'm the president of the company. But there's something as we start a conversation here today that I want you to know. This is indeed a huge, incredible global business. But our objective today is to not talk about that. We are here to talk about you. This is not about a company. This is not about something else. This is about you. It's about your opportunity. And it's about you taking steps of where you want to go. So we can spend a lot of time talking about how well the business is done, and it's done well. And we can talk about all the manufacturing or research and development facilities we have, and we have a lot of them. And we can talk about all the patents and the creativity that have built into our products. But all of that work is happening is so that you have an opportunity for yourself. That's why all of this is happening. So I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here with you again. It's been a number of years since I've had the chance to be with you here in Jakarta and Indonesia, and I want to say thanks for letting me come back. And I want to express my appreciation to all of you who've been in the business and who have been working hard, because we're in a really good place here. I want you to know that for those of you who are new, there's a foundation in place that's helpful for you. Because of the great work that's been done, you're in a place to start from an even stronger position. So I want to make sure I express my thanks to all the leaders who are here and who have been working diligently in this business in Indonesia for over 20 years. So after 20 years in Indonesia and after over 50 years around the world, you'd think we're a pretty old business. But yet we're here to tell you that we're just getting started. We're just getting started. And we're just getting started because you are just getting started. And this business is about you. All those global numbers don't mean a lot unless it's important for you and what you want to do with your future. And so that's what I want to spend a little time today talking about. We're not an old company. We're a young company, right? We've just been around for a while. I don't see old people like myself. I see people who are young at heart. I was doing the equation that Bobby put up there on how long I have to live. That's an interesting way to think about things, isn't it? But I've been in this business virtually all my life, and I have never regretted a day in my life. And you would think with all the times that have been, that all the years that have gone by, that at some point I might get tired of it, but that never happens. Having the opportunity to be here with you is a joy. And it's a tremendous honor, because you have taken from your time and your life to join us to talk about this and to talk about what your future could be. You know, we are a young company, just been around for a while. And I say that because all the leaders that you see, for the most part, we all started when we were young. We just can't stop. My father and Jay Van Andel got in this business in their 20s. And kind of like Bobby, it wasn't that they were looking for it, it kind of found them. Let me explain that a little bit. So they were young, they were in school, and they wanted to be in business together. And they were adventurous, they were going to try things. So the first business they tried was teaching people how to fly. And it's important you know that because they had this adventurous attitude that they thought they could teach people how to fly even when they didn't know how to fly. They had no idea. So they did that business for a while. Then they also did a restaurant business. They'd never been in that business either. And for all these years, they wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. They always said, that's a tough business. Problem with the restaurant business, everyone wants to eat at the same time. If you could just spread it out over that period of the day, that would be a lot easier. And they always were looking for things to do to be in business. They started their flight school, and they were pretty successful for a while. They hired instructors and taught people how to fly. But they couldn't do it at night during the dark. And when they started, the airport wasn't finished where they were living. So they put floats on the plane and flew off the river. But when the weather was bad, like it is where I live, they couldn't fly then either. And they began to experience challenges in different types of businesses. And they began to think, what is there to be is it possible to be in a business that operates 24/7, that isn't dependent on the weather? And that's when they found their way into the Nutrilite business. And from the Nutrilite business to the Amway business. I walk you through that briefly just to let you know that they were in many ways just like you. They just simply had a desire to do something different in their life. And they were willing to consider things that were not ordinary. And I'm assuming that you're here because you're willing to consider something that may not be ordinary or traditional. And I hope that through this time together, you'll see that we believe the Amway business is better than ordinary, and that this could be something in your life that you may not have been looking for, but that you desperately wanted. Now, that's a bit of a powerful claim for you to make, isn't it? And I don't mean to make that decision for you, but I want to spend my time here today trying to open up and give you a very good understanding of what this business is really all about, so that you can have an understanding about the situation you're in and the decision you may want to make. Two simple things. Here's what I want to talk about. Your potential success in your own Amway business. And I want to talk about, the reason why I want to talk about it is because, just like Bobby said, just like Fu and Sonny and every leader, we believe in you. And even if you don't think you can do this business, I want you to know we know you can do it, right? We do. So let me spend a little time talking about the Amway idea and where this kind of comes from. You know, an idea, it sparks in a person's mind, and then you have to find a way to communicate it. And if the ideas are good enough and strong enough, you can move it to a lot of people and bring people together. Back in the United States, I have an opportunity to be involved with an organization in Philadelphia. It's called the National Constitution Center, and it was established by the U.S. government to teach people about the Constitution of the United States, which is the founding document that holds our country together. Or if you look at the United States, maybe it doesn't hold it together. But this document is a critical piece of our history. And I went to look at it, and to see an actual copy of the document is very rare. They have special encasements and places to place it. You can only see it in a few moments. It can't be exposed to air. It can't be exposed to light. They're trying to protect the document, and they're trying to protect the words on the document. And as I was sitting there looking at it, I realized how challenging that was. And while I understood the historical need to protect that document, I began to think that the best ideas in life aren't protected in a document in a corner. Best ideas in life can live in our hearts and minds of people all over the world. And I think that's what we have seen happen with the Amway idea. It's not something that we're trying to protect and put away. It's something that we want to share with everybody, that everybody can have a chance to participate and be part of it. Well, let me tell you, the first aspect of the Amway idea is that the Amway business is all about people. It's all about you. Now, I learned this lesson a number of years ago, actually. It was one of the first trips that I took internationally with my father. And we were in Malaysia for a meeting something like this. And during our time there, my father had a chance to meet with the Prime Minister of Malaysia. And as they began to talk, it was a pretty impressive opportunity. And in the midst of their conversation, it went to business issues and economic issues. And the Prime Minister said, you know, we're having a tough time here in Malaysia. Our economy's struggling a little bit. And he said that's because the greatest natural resources of Malaysia are copper, tin, and oil. And all those prices are reduced in the global marketplace, and it's hurting us. But then he looked at my father and said, but your business is very successful. You guys are doing great. What's the secret? And my father simply said, Mr. Prime Minister, you may believe the greatest natural resources of your country are copper, tin, and oil. But in the Amway business, we believe the greatest resources of Malaysia are the people of Malaysia, and we focus on people. And that principle hasn't changed. In every market, in every place where we've operated around the world, the greatest natural resource of any nation are the people of that nation. And this business stays focused on people. We believe in the potential of all people. You know, it really doesn't matter where you are right now. What matters are the decisions you make and where you want to go. So many times in life, people will believe that we're stuck in some place. But we don't believe people are stuck. You may be in a tough place or a very difficult situation, but we want to tell you, you're not stuck there forever. You have the capability and the ability to move through that tough place to get to where you want to go. And we have seen that time and time around the world. So many people in the Amway business have started in difficult circumstances, and so many people have dealt with tremendous challenges. But through hard work and determination, they find their way through. You know, my father and his generation grew up in one of the most difficult economic times the world had ever seen in the 1930s. And he had to watch his father go through the fact that he didn't have a job and didn't have money to support his family. And in fact, he had to watch his father at the door with a young man selling a magazine. And he said, "Sir, I'm trying to sell this magazine because I can't go home until I sell it." And he had to watch his father say, "I don't have any money. I can't buy your magazine." And it's always easy in those tough times to think that you're stuck. But my grandfather continued to tell my dad, "It's going to get better." And wherever you are and whatever situation you may be in, whether you see Amway as part of your future or not, I want you to hear that message, that you have potential. You have talent. You have skill. You can move through and achieve your goal. Because in Amway, we believe in people. We believe in you. The second thing we've talked about, the second aspect of the Amway idea is that we are built on a set of values that spans the test of time. And they connect with people all over the world. And that's why when we're at a rally primarily focused at younger people, we can still talk about many of the things we've been talking about for years, because they still apply to people of all ages. Now, if you're younger, the way you see it or your interpretation of this value might be different than the way I saw it or another generation, but it still connects. For many years, we would ask my dad and Jay, "What were you guys thinking about when you started the Amway business?" And they brought it around to 4 things. They said the first thing we were talking about is freedom. We believe that people all over the world want to have freedom. They want to determine where they go in their life and what they do. You heard the modern day interpretation, right? Just before I came up here. But that same idea was alive and well for my father and his generation too. And that same idea is still going to be available or present for the next generation. Freedom. The second thing they talked about was family. Everybody in every culture around the world respects a family. And the way it applies to this business is beautiful in the whole line of sponsorship. You know, if you look at that video that we showed earlier and you'd see all the numbers and the global aspect of the business, it could be kind of scary. And it would be easy to wonder how you get connected to a business like that. How can you find your way in? But in this business, it's simple. It's through whoever talked to you about it. And through this aspect of bringing people together in a family-type unit, you can find an easy connection. So you don't have to get caught up in the whole global thing yet. Just talk to your sponsor. Work with your upline. That can take a big company and make it easy for you. Well, the third thing they talked about as our foundation was hope. And I spoke about that a bit earlier, that you're not stuck anywhere. That when you set goals and when you dream dreams, they can happen. And we want to encourage you to dream those dreams and set those goals, because we know that you can transition through to better places. And the fourth thing they talked about was reward. That people are willing to do work and they want to be rewarded and recognized for the work that they do. And those 4 pieces make up a foundation for this business. A foundation that stands the test of time. A foundation that connects to people all over the world and connects to people of all generations and who come from all types of backgrounds. It's always amazing to me how much diversity we have in this business, and what a joy it is to meet and be with people from all different backgrounds. Well, another part of the idea that I want to talk about is this entrepreneurial spirit. And there's a reason that we connect business with personal freedom, because we believe that until you have a level of economic freedom, it's very difficult to be able to enjoy personal freedom. Let me try to elaborate on that a little bit. Many years ago, there was a study done, and they asked some of the smartest people in the world, Nobel laureates, to look at the world's problems. And the question was, of all the world's problems, where should we start? Which one should we fix first? Well, there's environmental issues around the world. And there's still hunger that many people face. And certainly there's health issues and disease. And all these folks came together and said, where should we start? And the first thing they came up with was that we should start with ways to develop economies. And that economic development of a nation or for people was the first step to be able to live a better life with all these other issues. Now think about that for a second. If you're in a place where you don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow or you don't know where you're going to sleep, it's really hard to get too worried about Bobby's calculation about the next 10 or 20 years down the road. And it's really hard to worry about disease or something else for other people when you don't know how you're going to survive yourself. And it's only through a level of economic development that you begin to start to care about other people. And you begin to care about future generations. And you begin to care about some of these other issues that are problems around the world or in our communities. It's only once you have some level of substantial economic development in this modern world that you can begin to truly care about others. And that's why we focus so much on the fact that economic freedom leads to personal freedom. And that's why it's so important to have the opportunity to have a business of your own. Because with that business, it leads to that economic and then personal freedom. So there's one more thing I think that's important for us to understand. And it may seem kind of strange. But in business, we want to make sure you know it's not all about money, right? It's not about money only. Because there's two things about money that we all know, right? It won't buy happiness and you can't take it with you. And so as Bobby talks about the idea of happiness, let's make sure we understand that a little bit more. I have a friend in the United States who's done a lot of research on this subject and really researched what makes people happy. And the decision that most people would quickly reach is that a little more money makes people happy. And in fact, the number that people would generally say is 20%. If I just had 20% more money, then I'd be happy. But study after study would show as soon as somebody gets 20% more, then the next thing they want is another 20%. So instead of that leading to happiness, all it leads is to more frustration to take the next step. But his research found that happiness was connected to setting a goal and earning your way to that success, whatever it may be. And that it was truly the setting of a goal and the hard work and accomplishment of that goal that brought the happiness. So now this is a lot of stuff in there to try to explain or try to connect the dots between a business and a desire for economic freedom and how easily it starts to translate to what you heard earlier about personal freedom, because that personal freedom is the purpose of doing everything else. The next part of the Amway idea is the fact that it is indeed different than traditional businesses. We ran an ad campaign years ago in the United States that said, Amway turns the business world upside down. Because in the traditional business sense, there's only a few positions at the top. And everybody has to compete with one another to get there. And the success of those who've made it is directly connected to the lack of success for those who didn't make it. So part of it in the traditional business world is to elbow other people out of the way. But that's not how it works here. We turn that upside down. Let me share a secret with you. We have set no limits for how many diamonds there can be in the Amway business. No limits. Pick any level in the business. There's no limits. In fact, you can do it with everybody. You don't have to push people out of the way. In this business, we want to bring people together. In fact, our whole structure is built on people helping people. And this element of the Amway idea is based on how we share this idea. I spoke earlier about the leaders in the business. And we saved some special seats up here, and we have signs of where the diamonds need to. But there's nothing that says if you're sitting in the back that you can't sit up here someday. And in fact, all those people who are sitting up here are successful because they did the best job of helping other people be successful first, right? That's how you get to be diamond. You got to help a bunch of other people be successful first. And if you want to have a bigger pin and if you want to have more success, you got to figure out how to help more people. The very idea of this business is to figure out how to share it effectively and help others and reach out so we can lift everybody up and achieve success together. So these are some of the elements that I think it's important for us to talk about and to understand. That this Amway idea has a rich history. And if you're young and if you're looking at this thing for the first time, don't be fooled to think, gosh, this is a company that's been around for 50 years. It must be old. Or that it's been in Indonesia for 20 years. The best days of this business are ahead of us. And the best time to get started in this business is right now. Now, I want you to know, I'm not saying that just to you if you're a new person here. I'm saying that to all of us. Because it's very easy at any level of success to kind of get into the maintaining stage. And I want to challenge all of us to keep dreaming dreams, wherever you may be, and to keep setting goals, and keep challenging yourself to move forward. So maybe let me give you just a few things as we kind of wrap that phase of it around the Amway idea. Just a couple things as I wrap, maybe for you to think about. So as you leave this meeting, maybe there's a few things to keep in your mind. The first thing I want to encourage you to do is to keep an adventurous attitude in your mind. Be willing to take a risk and to try something that's not ordinary. Be willing to consider a different path for your future than maybe the traditional path that somebody else wanted to put in your future. Be able to open your mind to new possibilities. And it's my hope that this business can be one of those possibilities that can help you. The second thing to think about is I want to encourage you to be observant. I mean really observant. It is so easy for our minds to get closed. In fact, to a certain extent, that's the biology of our brains is to put things into categories and to think about things the same way over and over. So example, if I look at a chair, my mind doesn't have to say, is it a building? Is it a fish? It says, oh, it's a chair because it looks like a chair. But it is so easy for our minds when we're thinking about our future to get trapped and to think about things we've always thought about them in the past. There was a tragic story of a place in the United States around a volcanic eruption. About 20 years ago, Mount St. Helens exploded. And it was a tragedy because all around that mountain was a beautiful area. And people would come to visit that, and they always had that memory in their mind of how nice it was. And even when the geologists said the mountain was going to explode, people didn't believe them. And even when the police were setting up roadblocks to keep everyone away, people would sneak by because in their mind they remembered it the way it always used to be. And they laughed at the police and they would sneak their way through. But tragically there was danger. And many people lost their lives because they weren't paying attention. They weren't really being observant. They weren't willing to listen to new information because they were stuck in the past. I want to encourage you in life to be fully observant of all the opportunities that are available, and especially to consider if this business could be the right business for you. Well, the third thing I'd ask you to think about quickly is set some serious goals. Don't waste time and go through life until you're past your prime or until you just walk through. Set a goal and put a time on it. Don't put it off. Work toward it. And remember what we were talking about, that happiness comes from that earned success of setting the goal and working toward it. And the last thing, make it personal. We're not here just talking about stuff in theory. And we're not here talking about what is happening only in other people's lives. Sure, we're telling their stories to give you an example. But we're doing it because we want you to see that you can do it too. Make this personal. This is your life. And if you're young, you've got a long life ahead of you, and you have the ability now to make choices about what that future is going to look like. We're not talking about something in theory or about somebody else. We're talking about you, right? Many years ago, I was at a wedding reception. My nephew was getting married. The party and everyone dances. Now, I want to share a secret with you. I'm not a dancer. I don't like dancing. But like I said, it was my nephew's wedding. So all my children were also invited. And the problem with that is one thing. My youngest daughter is a dancer. And so while I'm kind of backing away from the party, she's reaching out her hand to grab me. And she says, "Daddy, come dance with me." Now those words strike fear in my heart. And I had every reason to say, "Honey, Daddy's not a dancer." I said, "Look at me, I'm not a dancer. I don't know how to dance. And I certainly don't want to go out in front of all these people and make a fool of myself." And she looked up at me and said, "Dance with me, Daddy." And I said, "Honey, didn't you hear what I just said? Daddy doesn't dance." But she kept looking up at me and she kept asking me. And I realized how silly I was. And that the only right answer to give your daughter in that situation is Yes, honey, I'll go with you. And so I went dancing. And she was a great dancer. And I did look like an idiot. But I was dancing with my daughter. After a meeting like this, you may be in a similar situation. We've been reaching out to you and trying to talk to you about this business. And you may have the similar excuses and the similar reservations. And you could be saying, wait a minute, I don't know how to dance. I've never done this before. Yeah. I don't want to look silly in front of other people. But I just want you to know, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep reaching out our hands and saying, come dance with us. You won't be alone. You won't have to figure this out all by yourself. We'll be dancing with you. We'll be helping you every step of the way. We don't want you to look foolish, and we don't really care if you don't know how to do it. Let us help you. So grab our hand. Grab the hand that we're inviting you with, and think that if this might just be the one thing you've been looking for, right? Even if you never knew you were looking for it in the first place. So many times, people try to keep other people away from things. And that if you have something precious, you want to protect it. And if you have a special secret, you don't want to tell other people. This is a business that never tries to keep people out. This is a business that wants to bring everybody together. We want you to be part of this. We want you to come dance with us. Think about what your future might be. We know it won't be easy. We know there's a lot of work. All the leaders in this business have worked very hard. And being successful requires that work. But also the happiness and the joy that you see from the leaders comes because they've done those two things. They've set a goal and worked towards it. But even more of the happiness is that they've reached out and helped others. This event is called Why Me? Well, why not you? We want to make sure you feel connected with us. And we're excited about the opportunity to work together, to move us through to an even better place. And I'm excited to be part of that journey together with all of you. Thanks, everybody.